So today we are going to talk about Kubernetes volumes. Kubernetes volumes. So here we have different types of volumes are there. Mainly three types of volumes are there. The first one we call EmptyDir. Second volume is host path. And the third one is persistent volume. Also we call PV, persistent volume. Okay. So we have only three types of volumes are there. EmptyDir, host path and persistent volume. Let's discuss all three volumes one by one. Okay. Volume is what? Volume means nothing but a storage. Nothing but a storage where we store the data. First, we'll talk about EmptyDir. Let's say this is my pod. I have container. One container or multiple containers. So you know, right? If you keep some data, very generally you keep inside containers. Now, what if you lose your containers? Deployment object will create the new containers, correct? But what about the data inside these containers? Correct or not? You lose the data, existing data. So I want to protect my data. For that, we have volumes concept is there. The first type of volume is EmptyDir. This is my pod. Inside, containers are there. This EmptyDir volume is to protect data from container failures. Only container failures. Okay. For example, what we do in EmptyDir, we don't store data inside containers. No. We take one directory from container 1. Let's say this is container 1. We take one more directory from container 2. Let's say this C2. And we create one volume at pod level. So these directories we are going to map to pod volume. This is pod volume. This only we call EmptyDir. This only we call EmptyDir. What is EmptyDir? It is a volume at pod level. And here also we map this container directory to this volume. Understanding, right? We take one directory from container 1, we take another directory from container 2. So these directories we are going to map to this volume. Okay, this volume will be at pod level. Understanding, right? That means you could have many directories. But the most important data of container that we keep here in this directory. When you keep in this directory, you know, right, that data will be actually stored here. So when you keep that data, that will be stored here. That means whatever data you keep, that will be stored here, that you can see from here. Whatever data you keep here, that will be stored here, that you can see from here. Already we discussed, right? In Docker volumes, already we discussed, right? The same way here also. Same kind of Docker volumes only here also. Okay, I'm repeating. Whatever data you keep here, that data will be actually stored here, that you can see from here. Whatever you keep here, that data will be stored here, that you can see from here. So even if you lose your container, no problem at all, because my data is here. That is how we can protect our data. That means in EmptyDir, what we are doing, we are not storing data inside the container. Instead, we are storing data outside of the container, that is in pod volume. That pod volume only we call EmptyDir. So why we got this particular name EmptyDir? When you first create this volume, it will be empty. Okay, that's why they have given name called EmptyDir. Understood? Simple, nothing more than that. So let's do it, then you will understand easily. Let's log into AWS account. Next, sign in, enter MFA, submit. Easy to instances. Select your instance, instance state, start. Select your instance, click on connect, username at the DNS name, then sessions, new session, SSH, upload, PEM file. That's it. Now clear the screen, sudo su minus, start minikube, start, -, force. Okay, that's it. Now verify kubectl get all. Do you have anything running here? No, we don't have anything as of now. See, these are default service that will be there by default. By default, it's a cluster IP. That will be there by default. Okay. Now let me create one manifest. So I'm creating one manifest with the name emptydir.yml, in which I'm going to paste this script. Let's try to understand here. API version. See, you can interchange these things. In previous manifest, this line we used to keep at the beginning. This one we used to keep at the second line, but that's okay. We can interchange, no problem. Okay. So what object I'm creating? Pod object. The name of the pod object I'm creating as my pod. And that comes under version v1. This pod is going to have two containers. Two containers. See, this is my pod. Name of the pod is my pod. Having two containers. You can see C1, C2. C1, C2. Two containers. Now these containers I am creating from CentOS image. Whatever image that you want, you can take. That is your wish. In these containers, I am just printing. In previous class, we have printed hello Sai, hello Hari. In the same way, in container one, I'm printing container C1 is running. Then I'm giving sleep command. It will take a break of 1000 seconds. Again, it will print container C1 is running. Again, it takes a break of 1000 seconds. That's what while loop. Already we have discussed in previous classes, correct? Inside, I'm doing some operation. So here, my main focus is not what we are doing inside the container. Main focus is on volumes part. Okay. So in container 2, what I'm printing, container 2 is running. This will be printed. Again, it takes a break of 1000 seconds. Fine. Now, the most important point here is volumes. Volumes. EmptyDir. See, type of volume is EmptyDir. And you know that whenever you mention key, if the key is a combination of multiple words, first letter of first word should be small letter. Second word onwards, first letter should be uppercase. You can see D uppercase. Even here also you can see A small, V uppercase, like that. If key is a combination of multiple words, first word, first letter should be lowercase. Second word onwards, first letter should be uppercase. Okay, fine. Now these are symbol for EmptyDir, symbol. That means what type of volume we are creating? EmptyDir type of volume. So by default, that is a volume at pod level. For this volume, what name you want to give? I'm giving pod vol. Whatever name that you want, you can give. So I'm giving a name called POD VOL, pod volume. It's just completely your name. Whatever name you want, you can give. Okay. Then in container one, volume mounts. These are fixed, guys. You have to remember these things. Okay. No matter how many manifests that you create with the EmptyDir volume, this manifest is fixed. Format is fixed. Volume mounts, name, and mount path. See, mount path /temp/c1dir. You can give whatever path that you want. /temp means under in C1, temp directory will be there already, Inside, this folder will get created. It will get created. If it is not there, it will get created. Obviously, C1dir folder won't be there. So this will get created. So that is this one. C1dir under temp directory. Okay. So in container 2, under temp directory, C2dir will get created. Okay, C2dir, this folder will get created. Now, these folders will be mapped to pod volume. You can see this name should be same. I am informing to C1dir that, hey, C1dir, you go and mount, means go and get connected to pod volume. So this is pod volume. That means this will be mapped like this. Here also I'm informing, hey, C2dir, you go and get connected to pod volume. So this pod volume, like this. That is how these directories will be mounted to this pod volume. Now what actually happens? Whatever data you keep here, that data actually will be kept here. That data you can able to see here. Whatever data you keep here, that actually will be kept here, that you can see here. You remember, right, in Linux class, we have discussed soft link, correct? Soft link, not hard link. Okay, that means soft link, what used to happen there? Whatever data you keep here, actual data would be stored where? Here. But that data you can see from both of these places. Correct or not? In Linux classes, we have already discussed. Whatever data you keep here, that actually will be kept here. That you can see from here. I had given one example, right? That time, laptop. This is my laptop. And if I attach any pen drive, let's say pen drive name is J, Actual data is in my pen drive. When you attach pen drive, one window kind of thing will be created here. Whatever data is there in pen drive that you can able to see from B, correct or not? Right? So when you put some data here, actually you are keeping where? In your pen drive. When you are deleting data, actually you are deleting from pen drive. So what is B? It is a window through which you are managing the data which is in A. So here also, this C1DR, C2DR, these are just a windows through which you are storing data in pod volume. Understanding, right? That means even if you lose your container, no problem at all because my data is safe here. Even if you lose your C2, container 2 also, still my data is safe here in pod volume. So this EmptyDir volume type, it is protecting you from container failures only. Even if you lose your container, still your data is very safe. Understood? Let's do it. Now, how to verify whether this EmptyDir volume is working fine or not? Simple. After creating, we go inside container 1, we create any file that actually will be kept here. That file you should be able to see here. If you can see that file here, that means yes, pod volume is working fine. That's what EmptyDir volume type. Again, we test in reverse way as well. We create one file here, file or folder, whatever, that actually will be kept here. That file you should be able to see here. Means reverse is also working fine. That is how we can verify. Understood? Let's do it now. So I have created this manifest. Now let's apply kubectl apply -f EmptyDir. That's it. We have applied. Now verify kubectl get all. So right now we have a pod having 2 containers. Out of 2, both containers are running fine. Now we can get more details. Kubectl describe pod and the pod name. What is the pod name? My pod. More details. See, what is the type of volume you are using? EmptyDir. Okay, let me show you from the beginning. See, container 1. Inside you can see C1DR. Folder in container 1 is mapped to pod volume. Here also C2DAR. Container is mapped to pod volume. Understood? Fine. Now what we'll do, let's test. In order to test, what I'll do, I need to go inside container 1. We'll put some data inside this particular directory. You could have many directories, but this particular directory is acting like a volume. This particular directory acting like a volume. Understood? Fine. So let's do it now. What I'll do, I will go inside. I'll go inside container 1. You know how to go inside container 1. kubectl exec my pod -c container 1 -it bin bash. Where I'm now? I'm inside container 1. Inside container 1, go inside temp directory, cd temp. If you do ls, you should be able to see c1dir. Correct? Then go inside c1dir, c1dir. Here, let's create any file, whatever file that you want, you can create. For example, I'm just creating echo hello students. I kept some data. This I'm redirecting to one file called, let's say, sci file, where I'm creating inside C1 container. Right? If you do ls, you can see sci file is there. Verify cat sci file. Achha, okay. What? Maybe I have done wrong command. Oh, sorry. I have mentioned wrongly. Okay, that's okay. A file having some content. Okay, let me override sci file inside hello students. Now it's fine. Now do ls. We have sci file. Now open that sci file. Yes, I kept hello students. So I have created this file here. Correct? That means that file by now it should have kept in pod volume. Correct? That means that file you should be able to see here. So I have created that sci file, blue color, assume that sci file. I have created here. That means that actual file will be kept here. That file you should be able to see here. Okay. Now verify. Come out of this container, exit. See, I'm out of this container. Let's go inside container 2. -c C2. Enter. I'm inside container 2. Go inside temp directory. If you do ls, you should be able to see C2dir. Correct. Go inside C2dir. If you do ls, you should be able to see SCI file. Correct. Working fine. And having that content as well. Hello students. Let's test in reverse way as well. Here I'll create one file here in container 2. When I create a file, that file will be actually kept here. That you can able to see from here, right? Okay, let's do it now. Cat Raj file. Here I'm going to keep some content. Let's say hello, Mr. Raj. Okay, enter Control D. That's it. Now open that file. Fine. Hello, Mr. Raj. Now let's come out of this container. Now let's go inside container 1. This is container 1, correct? You can see C1. Enter. Now cd temp cd C1dir. cd C1dir. And do ls, you can see Raj file. And if you open Raj file, you should be able to see that content. So that is how EmptyDir volume works. Fine. This EmptyDir protects you from container failures only. Container failures. But here the problem is, it is fine. But what if I lose my pod? What if I lose my pod? Then I will lose this data as well. This is a pod level volume. If I lose my pod, I will lose this data as well. Then how to protect this one from pod failures? So to resolve this issue, we have second volume type. That is what? Host path. Host path.